The West is debating whether to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has drawn a new red line, and our next report explains as to how President Vladimir Putin has changed the country's nuclear doctrine in a virtual warning to the West.
With Ukrainian troops outnumbered and outgunned on the battlefield, President Zelensky is in the United States, pushing the Biden administration to give him the nod to fire long-range weapons deep inside Russian territory. Moscow is warning against any such move and has now defined its final red line. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced changes to Russia's nuclear doctrine, framing it as a stark warning to Western nations.
The conditions for Russia's transition to the use of nuclear weapons are also clearly stated. We will consider this possibility upon receiving reliable information about a massive launch of air and space attack weapons and their crossing of our state border. I mean strategic and tactical aircrafts, cruise missiles, drones, hypersonic and other aircraft.
While Putin did not clarify if the new stance will prompt a nuclear response from Russia, the implications are deeply concerning. The US has condemned Putin's statements, calling them totally irresponsible. The European Union has termed the potential use of nuclear weapons in response to conventional attacks as reckless.
So this is just the continuation of the very irresponsible and unacceptable behavior on the side of Putin, showing basically to the whole world, especially during the United Nations General Assembly high-level week, his true face, that he doesn't shy away from playing the nuclear gamble over and over again.
Russia maintains the world's largest nuclear arsenal. It has 5,580 warheads. Of them, 4,380 are operational. There are about 1,710 strategic warheads currently deployed, positioned across land-based ballistic missiles, submarine launch systems, and heavy bombers. Such nuclear capability means Russia could destroy the world many times over. So could the United States, given its own stockpile of over 5,000 nukes. The sheer scale of Russia's nuclear capabilities raises alarm about the catastrophic consequences of any conflict escalating to nuclear proportions. Kiev says it is necessary to target Russia's airfields and military infrastructure that it uses to launch strikes on Ukraine. The White House is, however, wary of enabling further escalation that might persuade Moscow to take this war onto a different trajectory. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we're being joined by Professor Peter Kuznick, who's the Professor of History and Director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at the American University, and he's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Professor Kuznick, this is pretty interesting, and it will be taken very seriously, I hope, by leaders in power. Now, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has tabled a new Russian nuclear doctrine where he clearly spells out that if there is an attack even by non-nuclear power that is backed by the nuclear power, then Russia will reserve the right to use its nuclear weapons. Do you think the West is in fact pushing the Russian nuclear red lines further and further with each passing incident?
I would say that there are many people in the West who are pushing for a confrontation with Russia and trying to call Russia's bluff. We saw the visit by the British Prime Minister Starmer to Washington, in which he encouraged President Biden to allow the use of Britain's Storm Shadow missiles and the U.S. ATACMS missiles. They would have hit deep inside Russia, long-range missiles, and would have triggered Russia's new nuclear doctrine. Russia has lowered the threshold for use of nuclear weapons. We're at a very, very dangerous moment, arguably the most dangerous moment the world has been in since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. We know that there are people around Biden who are giving him contradictory advice. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, is urging Biden, from the reports, to give Ukraine permission, whereas Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the military advisors and some former intelligence officials are warning Biden that he's going to trigger World War III if he gives Ukraine permission to use those long-range missiles to strike inside Russia. This is an insanely dangerous moment, and I hope everybody realizes how precarious the situation is. Prime Minister Modi has tried to bring the sides together to some reason on this. We need to negotiate. We need diplomacy. We need to be talking, and we need to step down off the windowsill here because it's just too dangerous right now.
You know, it's interesting that you say that we need to step back from the windowsill, but the talk in a lot of Western capitals has been to call the Russian nuclear bluff. You know, the red lines of Vladimir Putin appear to be a little fuzzy. Does the West know where Russia's nuclear red line actually is?
The West has no idea where Russia's actual red line is. And if they find out the wrong way, then there's going to be nobody left alive to tell them that they were wrong. That's the situation we're in. The same situation that Kennedy and Khrushchev understood they were in 1962, and they both backed off from the nuclear abyss. They both did what they could to eliminate every conflict that could cause another crisis, because they understood once a crisis starts, there's no way to stop it. I don't know if Biden and Putin have the same wisdom that Kennedy and Khrushchev did in 1962 and 1963. So it's just too dangerous, because it's not going to only involve Ukraine and Britain and Russia. It's going to involve the entire planet. And that's what happens in a nuclear war.
Absolutely.
That it doesn't stop. It keeps going, and we have the capability to destroy all life on the planet several times over.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Kuznick, for joining us and getting us that perspective there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.